Chapter 41. Gerald was so frightened that he shivered and said, "Brother Biao, I belong to the White family." "White family?" Brother Biao grinned and said, "What is the White family?" Brother Biao spat out disdainfully, kicked Gerald to the ground, and said coldly, "The Master Orville just taught a White family stupid yesterday and was given 10,000 slaps in the face. King dare to follow him. Mention the king's name in his house?" Who? Gerald was frightened suddenly. He thought that his brother was robbed by a gangster, but he did not expect that it was actually Orville who beat him. Just as he was splitting his guts, Brother Biao directly raised the stick and slammed it down against his head. Boom! Gerald only felt the world spin, his head buzzed, his mouth and nose were bleeding, and his consciousness was instantly blurred. Wendy screamed loudly in horror instantly. Gerald is her fiancé and her only chance to marry into the White family. If something happens, her life will be over. "Ambulance! Call an ambulance!" Wendy yelled in a panic and tremblingly took out the phone, but was too scared to press any more. She could only keep screaming. Brother Biao frowned and said cursingly, "You little filth, you dare to call. Gouge her mouth, let me see how she speaks." "Yes, Brother Biao." When the boys heard this, they all showed cruel smiles. What they like most is to destroy the flowers with their hands, especially Wendy's savage flowers. Wendy panicked immediately, madly trying to step back, but there was a wall behind her, and there was nowhere to hide. "Come here, B*TCH. A one-eyed man grabbed Wendy's hair viciously and directly pulled her up abruptly. Then, facing Wendy's face, the one-eyed man shook his arms and violently twitched. These little brothers are all ruthless people who have been fighting with Brother Biao for many years. In just 2 or 3 strokes, Wendy's face was as swollen as a pig's head, blood mixed with saliva and flowed down. A woman being beaten like this will leave indelible marks on her face even if treated in time, which is almost equivalent to disfigurement. Seeing that Brother Biao was so cruel, Elsa shivered again, leaning on Charlie's back, and the two of them were almost close to each other. At this time, Brother Biao saw Charlie and Elsa in the corner, and gave an order, and the two of them beat them to death. "Dare to occupy the diamond box that I prepared for the distinguished guests. They are equally guilty." That little brother had never felt pity for delicate bodies, so he reached out and grabbed Elsa. "I see who dares to move her." Charlie's eyes became extremely cold, and he kicked the brawny man to the ground. Seeing this, Brother Biao's face sank, and he directly scolded, "Who the F***ck are you?" Charlie said lightly, "I am someone you can't afford to offend." "Boy, you are looking for death." Charlie shook his head and dialed Orville directly. "Mr. Orville, I'm in the diamond box right now. Come down and meet me immediately." After speaking, Charlie hung up the phone and looked at Brother Biao coldly. Elsa's face was pale. Harold just boasted to know Mr. Orville, and the result was so miserable. Charlie dared to say such disrespectful words in front of Brother Biao, and maybe his life too was gone. Wendy, who was drawn into a pig's head on the side, heard Charlie's words. Her eyes were extremely horrified. This grandson is still pretending to be forceful at this time. Is he trying to kill everyone? Brother Biao sneered unceremoniously, "If you dare to offend the Master Orville in front of me, I think you are tired of your life or crooked in the head." When the voice fell to the ground, Brother Biao waved his hand to the boys and said viciously, "Kill him for me." Suddenly, Orville shouted from outside the box, "DMN, Biao, you f***ing want to die, don't you? Even Mr. Charlie dares to move. King chopped you to feed the dog, believe it or not." Brother Biao was shocked as if struck by lightning. Chapter 42. Mr. Orville is here. "Mr. Charlie? Who is Mr. Charlie?" The next second, Orville walked in tremblingly and kicked Brother Biao directly to the ground. "You're King blind, you can't even recognize Mr. Charlie, I'll kill you." Orville scolded while kicking Brother Biao frantically. Brother Biao, who had just been invincible, now looks like a dog in the water. Elsa was dumbfounded. What is the situation? The kids were also panicking. This young man was actually Mr. Charlie? He actually wanted to do something to him just now, so he was looking for death. Orville cursed at the others. "And what are you guys doing in a daze? Kneel down and apologize to Mr. Charlie." "Mr. Charlie, it's because I have eyes but no pearls that I almost ran into you. I beg you to go around us." The boys knelt down, kowtow apologizing frantically. Brother Biao was also so scared that he knelt on the ground, and while pulling his face, he begged for mercy. "I'm sorry, Mr. Charlie, please don't forgive me my transgressions, please spare me this time." Orville also slapped himself. His face nervously said, "Mr. Charlie, it was because I did not do well, and let my subordinates deal with you and your friends." Charlie glanced at Elsa, and said lightly, "I just invited my wife's girlfriend to dinner." After speaking, he looked at the others, and said coldly, "They are not my friends." Elsa was completely shocked. It turned out that Charlie was not bragging at all. He did book a box in Classic Mansion, and it was indeed the top diamond box. More importantly, this box turned out to be reserved for him by Orville himself. Reminiscing that she had looked down on Charlie before, Elsa was blushing instantly, not to mention how ashamed she was. At this moment, Harold trembled all over when he heard the words of several people. What happened? Charlie, this rubbish, turned out to be Mr. Orville's friend? Wendy was also frightened. Charlie actually knew Mr. Orville. The key is that Mr. Orville was so kind to him. Look at her fiancé Gerald again, he is already in a coma with blood. While wiping the cold sweat on his forehead, Mr. Orville promised, "Mr. Charlie, don't worry, there will never be another thing like this. From now on, you will come to Classic Mansion and have a meal in the diamond box at any time. Come, I picked his eyeballs later, ... Charlie gave a hum, turned his head and said to Elsa, "Elsa, I have eaten the meal too, it's so messy here, let's go." Elsa was awakened by Charlie, and subconsciously asked, "What about the others?" Seeing the miserable appearances of Harold, Gerald, and Wendy, she was somewhat worried. Charlie said lightly, "Let Mr. Orville solve it." Orville immediately said, "Mr. Charlie, don't worry, I will arrange an ambulance to send them to the hospital for treatment." "Yeah." Charlie nodded and said, "If this is the case, then the two of us will leave first." Elsa was a little dazed and followed Charlie out of Classic Mansion in a daze. Coming out of Classic Mansion, Elsa couldn't calm down for a long time. Looking at Charlie, who looked like an okay person, she only felt as if he was covered with a layer of fog, mysterious and profound. "Charlie, what happened today?" Before Elsa finished speaking, Charlie interrupted her and said indifferently, "Elsa, please keep the matter a secret for me today. If Claire knows, she will be angry with underground people like Orville." Elsa had to nod her head, "Okay, I see." After Charlie and Elsa left, Orville asked to arrange an ambulance and took all the people to the hospital. Wendy's face was deformed by the jaw bone, which was tantamount to disfigurement. And one of Harold's hands was almost abolished, at least it will take a long time to recover. As for Gerald, he was hit by a severe concussion. Although the person has been rescued from life danger, the sequel will be enough for him to suffer for a lifetime. Chapter 43. Elsa and Doris Young of M Grand Group's appointment date will be tomorrow. Leaving Classic Mansion, Charlie drove her to the hotel where she was staying and then left. Elsa was continuously shocked by the evening meal while thinking about her future development. This time she came to Aurus Hill. On the surface, she came to work at the M Grand Group, but in fact, she was still carrying a family responsibility. Dad told her that there was top-secret news that yes, the top Eastcliff family had found their young master who had been missing for many years and also bought the M Grand Group to give this young master to practice hands. In other words, the Wade family master is in Aurus Hill, and he is the chairman of the M Grand Group. Although the Dong family is a very good family in Eastcliff, they can only reach a second-rate level, which is 1,000 miles away from the Wade family. Therefore, the Dong family hopes that Elsa can take advantage of Wade family's young master's identity to find opportunities to contact him in advance. If she can get together with him and promote the marriage of the two, that would be great. Although Elsa was a bit repulsive of such things, she didn't dare to neglect to think that the important task of family revitalization was on her shoulders. She traveled all the way to Aurus Hill, preparing to work for the M Grand Group, just to find the opportunity to contact the mysterious chairman of the Emgrand Group and then find a way to attract his attention. Elsa is definitely a very top super beauty in the upper class in Eastcliff. She believes that with her appearance, knowledge, ability, and perfect body, she should be able to attract the attention of the Wade family's heir apparent. If she can really marry him, then the Dong family will usher in absolute revitalization. Become a first-class family in Yinqing. As soon as she thought of this, she was full of expectations for tomorrow's entry. At the same time, she was also full of expectations for the mysterious Wade family's man. She couldn't help but wonder, how old is this Wade family young master? And what is his appearance? Is he personable, tall, and handsome? She couldn't help taking out her phone and opening the video app. She clicked on the video with tens of millions of clicks in her favorites. This video is where Charlie used cash to face the sales director at Rare Earth. She had analyzed this video a long time ago and knew that this video took place in Oris Hill, which happened to coincide with the time in the news that Charlie was found. Therefore, she speculated that the god-level rich man in the video should be the youngest of the Wade family, the chairman of the Emgrand Group. She stared carefully at the back of the god-level rich man in the picture, carefully watching and pondering. From this vague video, you can probably see that the famous god-level rich man on the internet is estimated to be in his 20s, tall and thin, but she can't see his face. However, his figure is still very good, not much worse than those Korean long-legged models. With such a figure, she believes the face will not be difficult to see. However, Elsa suddenly felt a strange feeling in her heart. How could this person feel a bit like Charlie? But after thinking about it, she thought it's impossible. Charlie is the son-in-law of the Wilson family. What is the strength of the Wilson family? Even the Wade family's hair can't be compared. If Charlie is really the youngest of the Wade family, how could he live in the henhouse of the Wilson family? It seems that she must be thinking too much. The next day, Elsa reached the Emgrand Group early in the morning. Vice Chairman Doris Young personally handled her entry. Doris Young took her to the administrative department and introduced her to her job functions, and then said, "Elsa, if you don't understand in the future, you can directly ask me or come to my office to find me." Elsa nodded gratefully, and asked tentatively, "Deputy Doris, I don't know if I have a chance to meet the chairman. After all, I will be responsible for the company's administrative affairs in the future. If I don't know the chairman, I'm afraid I won't be careful to neglect him." Chapter 44. Doris suddenly became alert. Charlie had asked her the day before yesterday to pay more attention to this Elsa, and Elsa asked about the chairman as soon as she came. It seemed a bit difficult to ignore. She doesn't know what the purpose of this beautiful girl is, who has traveled all the way to the Emgrand Group. She said to Elsa, "Our chairman rarely comes to the company, but if he comes, I will tell him. If he wants to see you, I will notify you." Elsa was a little disappointed in her heart, but she nodded with a smile and said, "Thank you, Miss Doris." When Doris Young returned to her office, she reported the incident to Charlie. As soon as Charlie heard that Elsa had just reported to the company, she wanted to meet with him. He became more vigilant. This woman really came for him. What is her purpose? Want to get close to me? Does she want to harm me or seduce me? No matter what purpose she was with, Charlie felt a little disgusted. So he decided to contact Elsa as little as possible, let alone let her know his true identity. On the night of Elsa's entry, Charlie's wife, Claire, specially reserved a seat in a high-end hotel and was going to treat her to a meal. As Claire's husband, Charlie naturally wanted to be with him. This made Charlie a little depressed. Just about to keep a distance from Elsa, he will have to eat with her again at night. But depressed, he was still ready to go to the hotel with Claire anyway. However, when he arrived at the hotel, Charlie realized that Claire's decision turned out to be the Hanging Garden of the Shangri-La Hotel. The Hanging Garden ballroom is mainly used to receive high-end guests, so it never provides any kind of private room service. However, Charlie booked the private room here on the wedding anniversary, which is unprecedented for Shangri-La. Today is only 3 days away from the wedding anniversary. A big and eye-catching notice has been placed at the entrance of Shangri-La Hotel. The hanging garden will be reserved for guests in the Sky Garden 3 days later. All guests are not allowed to use it at that time. We apologize for the inconvenience. Everyone who saw this notice was shocked. Someone has reserved the hanging garden in Shangri-La? This has never provided charter service. It is said that the children of several big leaders in the city wanted to hold a wedding banquet here, but they were all rejected without exception. Who is it that has the face to cover the entire hanging garden from Shangri-La? Claire also saw this eye-catching reminder and said in surprise, "Oh, the hanging garden was actually reserved? This is incredible." Charlie smiled on the side and said, "What's incredible?" "The banquet hall, isn't it possible for people to book it out?" "You don't understand." Claire said earnestly, "This Shangri-La is not our local enterprise. It is a top hotel chain in the world. Their Sky Garden is a major feature of its own. It only serves high-end guests. In the private space, today the big man will make a package, and the other high-end guests will not be able to use it normally, so they simply will not open the private space to the outside world." With that, Claire couldn't help sighing, "I don't know what background of this person is. It's really amazing to be able to cover this place." Charlie deliberately smiled and said, "Perhaps someone who loves his wife may want to hold a wedding for his wife." Claire was surprised and said, "Here is the wedding for his wife? Then she should be a wife who loves him very much, and his wife is really so lucky." Chapter 45. Charlie was very happy to hear his wife say so. It seems that the place he chose will surely satisfy his wife on the day of the wedding anniversary. The two came to the Sky Garden and sat down in the reserved seats, and Elsa arrived soon. "Claire! Elsa!" The two girlfriends hugged each other happily. Afterward, the two held hands and talked about the past for a long time, and then they gradually calmed down. Elsa said, "Claire, you are too wasteful. You chose to eat in the Sky Garden." Claire smiled and said, "When you are here, then I must bleed money, I don't care." Elsa chuckled, "It's really my good girlfriend." Claire said, "It's true that I'm not even qualified to order food here. I asked Emgrand Group Vice Chairman Doris Young to help me decide this seat, using her membership card." Elsa sighed, "The Sky Garden seems to be very demanding. It must be a diamond member or something?" "Yeah." Claire nodded and said, "To be honest, this is my first time coming here." Elsa smiled and said, "Thank you so much, my kind queen." After speaking, she said again, "By the way, when I came up just now, I saw a notice outside saying that the Sky Garden was booked for 3 days later?" "Yes." Claire said, "It's strange that Hanging Garden never accepted charter rooms before, and I don't know what happened this time." Elsa nodded and said in passing, "Some time ago, there was an Oris Hill god-level rich man. He bought a necklace and brought dozens of Rolls-Royces, dozens of men in black, and more than 10 million in cash. Did you watch that video?" Charlie shook his head, and Claire said, "I saw it. The pomp was quite big." Elsa said, "Everyone is guessing who he is." Claire said, "What is there to guess?" Elsa smiled and said, "Gossip. Everyone wants to know who is so domineering. Some people say it should be the new chairman of Emgrand Group." Charlie's expression on the side was startled for an instant, but it returned to normal soon. Elsa went on to say, "Shangri-La's Hanging Garden was wrapped up again today. I feel that the Hanging Garden package is the same person who bought the jade in the video." Claire sighed helplessly, "It's been so long since I saw you, you are still so gossipy." Elsa smiled and said, "Gossip is the driving force for women to survive." After that, Elsa said again, "I'm going to come here in 3 days to have a look. Who on earth has such a great face and can reserve the Sky Garden?" When Charlie on the side heard this, his head suddenly became heavy. He just wanted to surprise his wife and give her a wedding that hadn't been honored that year. But he didn't want to be noticed by everyone at once. However, he seemed to underestimate the influence of the Hanging Garden. It is estimated that many people in Oris Hill now have the same ideas as Elsa. They all want to see who has reserved the Sky Garden.